Hey Sal, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. We're episode 16 now, hey?
Woohoo! Getting there.
So yeah, welcome everyone to Mind and Muscle Unleashed podcast. So we're episode 16 and yeah, we're excited for this one.
Gonna be a good one. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all good,
So
but
even if we do say so ourselves. We enjoy them, that's
Uh,
what counts, right?
that's right.
So my internet is being a bit of a jerk at the moment. So apologies to you guys. I'm not sure why. My kids aren't even on the internet. They're not even home. So I can't even blame the kids for the internet connection.
It's
Anyway.
always the way, isn't
So
it?
I know. Maybe I need to go and put on a movie or something in the background.
Yeah.
So thanks to our sponsors first, Kojo Coffee and Fernwood Salisbury. What's in your cup today, Sal?
Protein water.
I've got sugar-free lemonade.
Same, right?
Slightly random, but anyway. Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about very female specific stuff. So any of the males, I know that we do have a few male listeners. So any of the males, like, of course, you are more than welcome to continue listening. In fact, I encourage it. But yeah, just keep in mind that it's pretty much going to be period talk today.
Might help though, understand what us women go through in that time.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So with this, like I thought about it, Sal, and ultimately there's a lot of information out there.
Mhm.
I'm just setting a timer at the moment just to make sure that we don't go over. So there is a lot of information out there. There's a lot of science behind this. If you do want to find out more about like the ins and outs of our menstrual cycle, like there is actually a lot of information out there. So, the beauty of Google, the beauty of having a lot of books and stuff like that that have been written. So I guess ultimately, like, I don't really want to go too deep into the science and the physiology behind it. Just because, we're here for 30 minutes. And for us, I think it's very important just to make it as simple and usable as we possibly can for our listeners, right? So yeah, in terms of like the science behind it, we're not going to go hugely in depth on that. Um, like I said, if you want to know the science behind it, like just jump on Google or get yourself a book and you can find that out. I do have a book that I do strongly recommend though. I'm not sure if you can see it there.
Oh yeah, I
It's
got that
called
book.
it's called Raw. It's by Dr. Stacey Sims. And then she's written another one called Next Level, which personally is my favorite out of the two. It's just a super practical guide. So if you do want to learn more, I would strongly encourage, reading Stacey up on Instagram. That can be quite beneficial.
Yeah, there's heaps out there. So yeah, you can dig into it a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, first off, like just in a nutshell, like our menstrual cycle, like the average length of our menstrual cycle is about 28 days. But as we all know, like that can vary. So it
Mhm.
can vary between 21 and like even up to 40 days. So with day one basically being the start of menstruation, which is basically the start of our period. So that's what we call our follicular phase. So that's the start of menstruation up until ovulation. And that again varies in the length of time as to how long like we menstruate for. Then we go into ovulation, which is only about like a 24 to 48 hour period. Then we go into our luteal phase, which is fairly consistent in terms of its length of time, which is about 13 to 15 days. And that's pretty much from the time of ovulation to the start of our next cycle. So basically back to the start of our period. So it's this cycle that we go on, and everything basically being triggered by hormones. Hormones are triggering absolutely everything when it comes to your menstrual cycle, which is why emotionally we can be so upset, right? So I think there's a lot of myths associated to like training and exercising and whatnot, like while you've got your period. And I think a lot of women in the past tend to take time off the gym when they have their period, but ultimately you can actually make it work to your advantage if you know what's going on, right? So it's not a time that we need to be scared of. The reality is, like, we're all going to go through it as women.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely normal for us as women. And yes, it varies in terms of like our symptoms, the length of time, but pretty much like the constant is that we're all pretty much going to go through it as women. So I guess the first thing that I think, have I frozen again? No, I'm there.
No.
The first thing that I would strongly encourage that everybody does is start tracking.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Because if you don't know where you're at in your cycle, you don't know what's going on, right?
100%. I think that helps, especially, you know, when you're in something like prep and stuff, like, or, you know, it, we get things before our period starts too. So that helps you explain why you might be, you know. For me, I know I get like a couple of days, about 9 days out before my period, I get really hungry, and then 2 days before I don't feel hungry at all. So you need to know why those symptoms are showing.
Correct. And not only, you know, just tracking like when it starts, but tracking what your symptoms are in that time. Because like for me, I'm guilty of it as well. Like I reckon I only started tracking mine probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Just because like as a group fitness instructor is where I really noticed it. And like I would notice that I'd be cruising along and everything would feel great. And then all of a sudden I would have this week where I felt heavier, I felt unfit, I couldn't lift all the weights that I wanted to lift. And because I didn't really know what was going on and I never really tracked my cycle, I would just start beating myself up about it. I'd start thinking to myself, you know, I've been training so hard, I've been pushing so hard, I've been working so hard. Why do I feel unfit? You know? And then also you'd step on the scales and like your weight would just start going up. And you'd be like, well, what the hell is going on? And beforehand, like before I actually started learning about it and started tracking it, like I'd just be in this mental state where I'd just be feeling like crap about myself.
Yeah. And I think a big thing like with that is to understand that during our menstrual cycle, our body's not working against us. It's trying to speak to us. It's trying to communicate with us. And, you know, by tracking, we can listen to that and jot that down. And that's our way of communicating with what our body's saying.
Yeah. And ultimately, all of this stuff was happening in that luteal phase, right?
Yeah.
So ovulation has happened. And that's when your body is like, just to really dumb it down, your body is basically either getting pregnant or not getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? So these hormones are all over the place. Your body's working hard. And yes, you are holding on to fluid. And no, you don't have all of this extra energy. And yes, your lower back starts hurting. And yes, your weight's going up. And all of these things are happening. But they're happening because of the phase of your cycle that you're currently in. So I think, yeah, the biggest thing that I would say, that if you take nothing away from this episode, other than you start tracking your cycle, like every woman should be doing that. Like tracking your cycle, writing down your symptoms, tracking your weight. Like if you've had a spike of a couple of kilos in your weight, because let's face it, I know a lot of us know logically that the number on the scales really doesn't mean that much, right? So, like, I say this so often. The weight and that number that shows up when you step on those scales is not telling you how much body fat you have. It's just not.
I'm only laughing because we just had this conversation.
What it is telling you, it is telling you how much you weigh at that given point in time, right? And you're not just weighing the fat, you're weighing all of the food, all of the water that you've consumed in the last however many hours. You're weighing your bones, you're weighing your muscles, you're weighing all of your skin, your hair, your teeth, your nails, and you're weighing your fat, right? And then also, I'm not being judgy here, but I see women at the gym, they will walk into the bathrooms, and I swear I would love to just throw those scales in the bin, but I know that I would be publicly stoned if I did, right? But I see them walking in, holding onto their phones with their shoes on, standing on the scales.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, how is that number that's showing up there? Like, how does it mean anything? Right?
Yeah.
But we are emotional creatures.
Oh, yeah.
And to know something and to put it into a logical frame can be super, super challenging. So when you're already a bit challenged in terms of like the mental aspect of your weight, and then you add in that extra weight gain that happens as a result of your cycle, which is also triggered by hormones, it's just doubling down on the emotional connection to that weight, right?
100%.
But
100%. Yeah.
if you know and you've tracked and you know that at this point in my cycle, on average, because everybody's different, but you know what? I actually gain around 3, sometimes 4 kilos in my luteal phase.
Yeah, I actually the same. I actually drop a good like probably 700 grams like the 3 days before, and then I
Mhm.
gain. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like I have this major drop and I think, oh yeah,
Mhm.
cool. And then bam, she comes and I'm like, no. It was an actual loss. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think like you were saying, by tracking not only like each phase of your menstrual cycle, you have different experiences with each
Mhm.
phase. So tracking the whole thing, you start to realize what common experiences you have in each phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you know that that's going to happen, like if you go, okay, well, I know that in this phase, I tend to put on about 3 to 4 kilos.
Yeah.
Then you get to that phase and you put on the 3 to 4 kilos. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, okay, well, I knew that was coming. Like it's not a shock. It's not a surprise.
And I think that works with like the emotions as well. You know, in your luteal phase, you're a bit more negative body image, anxiety, or a bit irritable. By tracking those things as well, you're going to understand, okay, yeah, this is all making sense what phase I'm in.
And you know, I reckon that's a really important topic as well to touch on in terms of like irritability.
Yeah.
And I think I found this in prep as well. So like, you know that you're going to be that bit more irritable, you know your patience is going to be a little bit shorter than it normally would. And I think by essentially having that heads up, you become a lot more mindful of how you are. And rather than being super reactive in situations, you tend to just stop a little bit more than what you normally would. And so I actually find when I'm more aware of the fact that my patience is going to be a little bit lower, I actually tend to become a more patient person because I'm a lot more mindful of it.
100%. And it's in my luteal phase, I get really withdrawn. Like I have a desire to withdraw heaps. I don't know what it is, but I always make sure that I'm aware of that, because if I start to withdraw, I think, okay, like you can change this, Sally. Like you've got this. And I make myself try harder to not withdraw in that phase, because I know it's part of my experiences during that phase. So you're 100% right. You got to understand your body and what it's, like I said, it's not working against you. It's trying to speak to you. So listen to what it's saying. Because if you listen to it, you can work with it.
Yeah. And then you're not setting unrealistic expectations on yourself as well.
Yeah. And
Like, if
we're
you
here.
know that you're not quite as social.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying it means you have to go out and be social, but at least you know if that's the phase where you are less social, you know in advance, okay, yep, if this is how my period's tracking and I'm on track, and okay, I might let this person know I'm not going to be able to come, rather than in the moment being like, no, I'm not going. So it's super important to listen. And we're pretty powerful as human beings. We can manipulate the body. That's what it's designed to do. And it starts from the mind. So all this can be changed though. It's just that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then, then we head into when we've got our period. And, like I said, there's actually just backtrack just slightly about the luteal phase. The other thing that I actually tend to do is I will pull back a little bit on my training.
Yeah.
So for me, I know in that week that my lower back just gets a little bit twingy.
Mm-hmm.
So mindful of that. And things like deadlifts, back squats, like those sorts of movement patterns, I will use my weight belt a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use it in my warm-up sets rather than just waiting until my working set. So like, for example, like with a deadlift, I always recommend as soon as you're getting like pretty close to your body weight on that bar, generally get out the weight belt, right?
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm in my luteal phase and I know that my back's just probably going to be a little bit more tender, it's just going to be a little bit more fragile, I'll actually get the weight belt out when I'm about 20 kilos under my body weight.
Yeah.
And that just means that I'll then focus less on the amount of load that's going on that bar, and I'll probably just work extra reps on that particular session, because I know that if I don't do that, the next day I'm going to wake up and my back's going to be in a world of pain.
Yeah. 100%.
And
Yeah.
it's just not worth it,
Not when you
I'll
can change
also
it.
now, yeah. And I'll also now, even like in my cardio classes, I'll just pull back a bit in that week. Like
Yeah.
if I'm feeling really good, I'll go for it, because not every phase you're going to feel like that, but
Mm-hmm.
you tend to know when you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so on those weeks when I know that, yeah, okay, this is kicking my ass a bit this week, I just go, you know what? I'm just going to pull back a bit. I'm going to pull back the intensity. I'm going to focus on coaching. I'm going to focus on technique. I'm going to focus on those other things rather than just going like completely gung ho.
Yeah. And I think, this phase, before we move on to the next one, This phase calls for softness and honesty and grounding, because your emotions are valid, so you got to be curious, not critical.
I like that.
And I always tell myself that exact thing when I'm in that phase. This is calling me for softness, honesty, and grounding, and my emotions are valid, and I've got to be curious, not critical. I have a little slogan that I say in my head for all my phases to get me through.
I love that.
So weird.
Curious, not critical. Yeah, but that's really cool.
Yeah, and I just think you got to,
Definitely.
you got to understand your body though like you were saying before, you really got to understand your body to know how to react to it.
Definitely. And if you don't track it,
You got
don't
no
track all your
chance,
symptoms,
really.
and you've got no chance. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's right. And then it leads us into back to day one of your cycle, which is your period, right? And I guess that's where a lot of people will tend to take a break from the gym, or will tend to have rest days, or even like if you're an athlete and let's say you're competing on that day, like a lot of women would panic because they've got their period on that day. Um, and the actual fact of the matter is, that's just not the case. Because if you sort of think about, again, I'm dumbing this down, this is the period of time where ultimately your body has worked out that the next phase is not going to be growing a baby.
Yeah.
Right. So that's actually a really potential high energy phase, because you've got all that elevation in hormones, but that energy is not going to then have to be used to growing a baby, but it can be
Yes.
used elsewhere. And yes, like we do have a lot of those physical symptoms that hang around. So,
Yeah.
like period pain, bloating, that sort of thing,
Fatigue. Yeah.
fatigue, all of that. But ultimately, exercise can actually help to negate some of those symptoms.
Yeah.
And also, quite often, that is when you can actually perform at a higher level.
Yeah.
So, like for me, for example, and also I will say as a disclaimer, depending on the sport, and I will talk about that a little bit more. So, like for me, I remember it was 20, I reckon maybe 2014. Ironman Bustleton. I reckon that was probably, yeah, the first time I'd ever woken up and gotten my period on race day. And if you sort of think about like an Ironman, you're talking 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, and a
Yes.
42.2 kilometer run. And you wake up that morning with your period.
Yay.
And I was like, oh, like, are you serious right now? And, you know, I had the worst period pain. I had the cramps, like all of that sort of stuff. And literally, my heart sank on that day. And back then, I didn't track anything. And I was actually quite irregular anyway. So I kind of didn't really know when it was going to fall. But yeah, like my heart sank and I was just like, well, shit, you know, this is in my eyes at that point in time was like the worst thing that could have happened on that morning.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I wasn't going to pull out of the race. I had trained for, you know, months and months and months and months. And so I wasn't going to be pulling out of the race. So I kind of just had to suck it up anyway. And in the end, it's actually the best Ironman time that I've ever done in my entire like racing of Ironman. I did a 12-hour 23 Ironman on that day. And like it didn't hold me back
Yeah.
at all. In fact, it was possibly a little bit of a superpower on that day. Um, However, there is probably one sport where it is a bit of a disadvantage on the day. And I think you know what sport that is.
Yup.
What is it, Sal?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, yeah.
I've just got to plug into, I think you might have to see my messy house in the background. My energy saver's on.
Hey, it's a home, not a house.
Ah, exactly right. So, in the case of bodybuilding,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not the best outcome for the day because you don't want to feel bloated.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. So if that does happen to you on comp day, like there are workarounds, like there's just ways that you just have to manage it on the day. And there's not much you can do really.
And I think it takes a lot of, like you were saying with your experience, it's a bit of mind over matter. Like we get it and we think, oh, we feel so then we tell ourselves we're feeling and then we're gonna have a shit time in whatever we're doing. So it's really about really control of the mind during that phase.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you're not feeling shit and I feel a bit yuck, but that's when you got to tap into your self-talk and that the most and be like, okay, yep, I'm feeling shit, but I can still do X, Y, Z. Yeah, I might be feeling this, but I can X, Y, Z.
Yeah. And the really cool thing though, in that period of time is you are actually more resilient to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Your inflammation levels are lower, your immunity is higher. And like I said, you're more resilient to stress. And that stress is not just mental stress that you're more resilient to, it's also physical stress, which means that your gains in the gym can actually be taken to the next level during this time.
Yeah, I think you experience a stronger connection to your intuition and your unconscious emotions during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the week where you go for it,
Yeah.
right? The week before, you look after yourself. You're softer, you pull back, you use your weight belt earlier, you go more reps rather than weight. Then when you head into this phase, you just go for it. That's when you want to strive for your PBs. That's when you want to bust your gut in the gym. And that's where you want to absolutely take advantage and send it in your training.
And I think it's like for me, it's the phase where my self-belief actually tends to peak a bit. So that self-talk's a bit easier. So the slogan that I use for this phase is this is my phase of clarity and to use my energy to build momentum.
Yeah.
Because your self-belief is going to be at peak in this, like for it's going to work for you. It's going to
Yeah.
be easy to control that. So,
And basically, because if you think about it, like you're then heading into ovulation.
mhm.
So you actually also feel more attractive.
Mhm.
You feel like more confident. You
Yeah.
feel more secure. And if you know those things, like you can really use them to your advantage, right?
Oh, 100%. It's like such a great time for like new mindset, future planning, even tackling the harder task or weights or whatever you want to refer to, but that's the time for that.
So, what sorts of things would you be doing, like, or encouraging as a therapist in this week? Like, for me, as a trainer and a coach,
Yep.
like the physical side, I'm like, just like, go for it, like beast mode.
Yeah. I would say again, focus on your mindset because this is a time when your mindset is heightened. So use these areas to your advantage. So your mindset is heightened, so use it. Put that into your future planning again, tackling those harder tasks because your mind is already at its best, at its peak in this phase. So everything you do now is going to be a bit easier than when we do it in any other phase or just general life. So again, you know, your self-belief. Talk to yourself a lot more during this phase because your self-belief is at peak. So whatever you tell yourself is so much kinder than any other phase. So utilize that. And yeah, just remember that this is your time to build the momentum and future goals you want because you're going to start strong because you're in that high phase. So setting them now and starting them in that phase, you're going to have a good takeoff and that's going to give you good momentum to keep going. Where if you was to start that in the lethal phase, it's gonna put you on your ass. So don't do that in the previous phase. Do that here. All new mindset, all new goals, all new momentum in this phase.
Yeah, wow. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
I
Because
never I never thought of it that way.
look, I didn't until I became a therapist and I learned all this, but yeah, it's that's when our the biggest one for me is self-belief because everything comes from that. So your goals, your momentum, that all comes from your self-belief. So in this phase, tap into that. Even like outside of like just general day to day, start those things like positive self-talk and that in this phase because
Mhm.
it's giving you the momentum to take it off and keep going. Where if you start it in the previous one, it's kind of you're trying to apply it, but you haven't got the momentum for it to go anywhere.
And then, like, the more you do that, the more that you'll be able to have that flow on when you hit the luteal phase and keep that habit up. And then hopefully,
Yeah, like it's always going to drop a little, but you've got a
Mhm.
stronger chance if you tap into that in this phase. You've got a stronger chance at getting through the luteal phase a bit easier than. And again, it comes to tracking because if you don't track, you're
Yeah,
not going to know your phase. So, yeah, but yeah, honestly, self-belief, future planning, and building momentum are my three for this one.
that's huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Um, yeah, I'm actually really excited because, well, so like a bit of personal information for me, like I still haven't got my cycle back post comp.
Oh,
Um, so I know that that's coming. Do you know, really, this is really strange. Like, this is a bit random. The last 2 nights, I've dreamt about it.
maybe your subconscious is trying to tell you that it's coming.
Maybe, I don't
Remember,
know.
our bodies speak to us.
Yeah.
But
And
just just FYI, the first one to go back's a bitch.
yeah, see, I haven't had that experience. You've had that experience. I haven't because I actually didn't lose my cycle the first time I competed.
Yeah.
But this one I lost it like fairly early in. Um, but yeah, my back's been a bit twingy like last week, so I feel like maybe it's coming. I've got a new phone since I last had it, so I haven't actually
Oh,
downloaded the app yet. Um, but I think, yeah, like obviously as soon as I know that it's there, then I'll get back to tracking. But I'm actually excited because this time around, like I've been tracking and doing the physiological side of things. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to put in place the stuff that you've suggested and yeah, using that for like goal setting and yeah, I'm keen to do that. I'm excited.
it does help. Like, and before I learned all this, if someone had said all this to me, I probably would have been like, okay, whatever. Like, being honest, I probably would have been like, okay, yeah. But now living through it and especially understanding it to the level that I understand it because of my role, 100, I can't tell you how much all this works. Like,
Mm.
but it's like anything. If you believe in it and if you already set your guard up to say, I don't believe in all this, it's never going to work for you
Yeah,
because you're blocking all that.
yeah. And comes back to all the stuff that we say as well, like consistency too.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
100%.
consistently do it every single cycle. And you'll probably get to the point where you're just like, oh, yep, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm expecting is going to happen. And it just like, again, it takes the emotion out of it and you're using it to your advantage. Like, it almost becomes like this superpower. Hey.
Oh, 100%. And look, I guess in a way, we sit here and say, I wish men got their period. But do you know what? We kind of got an advantage by getting a period. So what, like for people who are like, oh, I wish men had their period. Yeah, we probably all do. But flip it around and think, okay, we get to learn some insight into this that they don't get. They don't
Mm,
get to tap into it the way we do by having a period. So flip that negative to a positive and you'll get more positive out of it.
yeah, definitely. And embrace it and work with it rather than
Yeah.
working against it. Because, like, if you're working against it, you're fighting losing battle
Oh,
because it's
100%.
part of life,
Yeah.
So I think, yeah. And that's, I guess, like, moving into perimenopause and menopause, like, it's about working with it because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we might as well learn as much as we can and learn with, like, work with it rather than work against it and use it to our advantage.
Yeah, 100%. Anything, yeah, that we don't tap into is never going to work for us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? We're past the 30-minute mark.
That went so quick.
34 minutes we're at.
There you
So
go.
yeah, I think we'll wrap up there. But we'd love to, I guess, hear your feedback as well, anyone that's listening. And, if there's anyone that you think would really benefit from this, which I personally think every female would benefit from learning about how to use their cycle to their advantage.
100%.
Make sure you share it with them and pass it on and help somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks
And
everyone for the
yeah,
feedback from the last podcast. It was really good to get all that feedback that we got and those comments. So thank you, and keep it coming.
please. And we appreciate it. Thanks again to our sponsors.
Yep, thanks everyone for listening.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.